Neutrality, Trust, and Satisfactory.
I feel like it's funny that it's not necessarily the middle of the chart, but like neutrality being like probably where a lot of people think they're at enlightenment. It's why I always say like a lot like how apathy is like a false enlightenment. I think apathy, like if we're gonna say negative, neutral, positive, if apathy is like a negative version of enlightened, neutrality is the neutral version of it. Like you're just like, I'm okay with whatever. It's that gray area. Like, you know, like I don't care what comes. It doesn't matter. I'll just take things as it comes. Like it's like you're not really proactive, but you've become non-reactive. Like, you know, like you're not making things happen, but you're not resisting what happens either. Like you finally reach this place where you're in non-resistance. You're not necessarily taking massive action or being proactive or taking control or dominating, but you're finally at a place where, like, let's say at minimum, like maybe like you could word it, you're at peace with yourself, or like you don't really need much. Like you just reach this place where like you can accept whatever comes energetically. Hence words like trust. Like this is when, like, whether you're talking about people, because before this you definitely weren't trusting people, you know what I mean? You definitely weren't giving yourself out there. You definitely weren't letting yourself go with concepts like that, you know what I mean? You had a more like contained, controlled energy. But at neutrality you're more like wind. Like you just go with the flow, you let whatever happen. So it's like you can trust in the universe, you can trust in certain people, even trust in yourself. And that's where satisfactory comes in. You're just satisfied now, because now that you've reached this place of neutrality, now that you're able to have so much trust externally, you're able to just sit here and like be present, really. Which I guess you could take this really into presence. This is when you, maybe if you were ranking it and you were talking about when you first get into presence, this is like now when like you're not just stuck in your head overthinking, worrying, stressing, being hostile, feeling angst. You're not overthinking the past, like what did I do wrong? You're not overthinking the future, what do I need to do? You're not stuck in these like bits of time, and you actually can be in the now. You actually can be in the moment. You actually can accept that which flows energetically. Like you're able to just, like, you know what Tyler calls it, and I think you get to at this point. Maybe you aren't, like I said, proactively dominating, but this is what I think they word as walking through the world with ease. Like this is the point where you're like, you're probably in like bubbles of consciousness or like bubbles of presence. Like maybe for a whole week, you know those weeks where you're just on it, you're just in a flow state, and then you're like, oh damn, I'm back to fucking wanting something or needing something, or like however it works. I think this is like when you've reached that level where you can just kind of ebb and flow. And there are downs and there are ups, but synergistically you probably maintain a sense of the middle. So like now you're just flowing, you're in non-resistance, you're accepting what comes. Like you just reached this new place, and like you can be satisfied. You aren't craving, and you aren't rejecting. So that you're not, it's like you're not in the demand place anymore, and you're also not in this polarization place where you're just like, oh no, I can't tolerate that. If not to bring in downsides, but if there was probably, like, just throwing out a word like downside to different things, this one I guess would be that you're not craving higher levels of energy, and you're probably also not rejecting lower. You're just accepting what comes, if that makes sense, which lets you maintain a neutrality. But there's still, it's like you might not be chasing right action, hence you're not chasing engagement or abundance. You're just accepting what is, which is fine and not really a bad thing. But if we're talking about, you know, like this hammering it in, like dominating, like especially if we're coming from like a bad bitch dominant taking over the world perspective, like she has to really like, whoosh, this is mine, everything's mine, I'm doing what I'm doing, everyone's gonna win, I'm in control, let's take over. Like that hunger still kind of needs to be there. And not that it's bad to be neutral, but it's like you're at this spot where you're accepting what comes, and you're almost there. But I would argue, if there's the hero's journey, this is when you know you're a hero now. You've been on the journey. You're not in resistance to the fact that you're a hero. But this might be the part where you're just like, whatever happens, happens, versus you're determined to win, if that makes sense.
100%. I mean, let's see, downside, whatever happens, happens. It's like a dangerous pitfall that I guess people fall into when they hit neutrality. And I mean, it is a higher level of energy because you're not in resistance taking things as they come. But at the same time, there's not that sense of like hunger or urgency to grow or to like push yourself to the next paradigm, because you're kind of like, all right, I'm here in limbo now. Life is good. Sometimes it sucks. Sometimes it's lit, but at least I'm aware of it and I can choose to be in the happier side. Things aren't going my way 100%. They'll get better. But being in that like state of limbo, even if you're like present, not taking any initiative to push yourself forward to grow, can be extremely detrimental. Just because, I don't know, if you're wanting to not just be stuck being you, and you want to be a better version of you, then neutrality is like a temporary state of like, all right, I got my bearings. Great place to like start to dive into presence, get into the present moment, get at one with your environment, being more receptive to things, being able to like filter through, not having like a judged bias on the way you're perceiving things with your vision goggles. And then you can like trust yourself, because you're going through and you can discern a lot better. Okay, well, if I'm being neutral, I can see both sides, so I can now take into my hands a more educated approach to deciphering things and going about choosing how I'll go. And then, you're satisfied, but then that level of like satiation of, I'm successfully doing things myself. I'm seeing both sides. I could take my adventure this way. I could take it this way. But, it's in my hands. Yes, I'm in control. But then, like, I guess for people who are newer into that ease of life, just going with the flow, they're like, ooh, before there used to be, like, times when I'd fall into low vibration, or times when I'd, be too eagerly high vibration. And you're just like in a happy medium. But then that happy medium doesn't go anywhere, because you're just, it's whatever. So it's very, very important to make sure that you use that in like times of rest, I guess. When you don't need to take action, you can be neutral. You don't need to expend energy, but yet, you don't need to take energy to like bring yourself back up. You're at a nice level baseline. You've taken the time to condition yourself to have a good neutral baseline, but that's pretty much all it's good for, is to just be there as like a phase of, all right, I'm gonna recuperate. I'm chilling now. I'm neutral. I trust myself. I got this, but I'm gonna be chilling. I can take a break, and I'll be satisfied with me being me. I don't really need anything. But then, like, as soon as you're done recuperating, chilling, you gotta get right back out of there. You gotta get back into action, because if not, then you'll be neutrally poison dripping yourself into thinking that you're like on the path to enlightenment and that you are one. But like, you're like, oh yes, I'm one with me. I'm chilling. Damn, if I was a tree, I'd kind of need some water to grow, but there's no water around here. I'm kind of parched. Let me grow an extra root over this way. All right, navigate. I found some water. Bet it's lit. If I was neutral and I was a tree, I would have died in that desert. But I decided to move forward. So, tree being an analogy for just not being neutral. Obviously, a tree's cooling, it's chilling, it doesn't really need to do much, but still gotta have growth, and you still gotta do things. Can't just be chilling there forever.